here in Central Ohio, a murder for hire conviction is overturned, all because of the wording in the original indictment.
You may remember a jury sentenced Tara Lambert to 7 years in prison for one count of conspiracy to commit murder back in 2016.
What if I told you that some of the most chilling disappearances in U.S. history
Really scared, but I just don't want that coming in our community.
happened in the most beautiful national parks? People vanished without a trace, and no one can explain why.
Now to Pennsylvania, where a small town is at the center of a hate crimes case. It began with the beating death of a Mexican immigrant last year.
From Bigfoot sightings to strange military involvement, the truth might be darker than you think. Don't miss out. This is one mystery you won't want to leave unsolved. Mysterious disappearances in the U.S. national parks. The enigma of missing 411. If you're fascinated by crime conspiracies, cults, serial killers, and the eerie unknown, then you're likely familiar with the chilling phenomenon of people disappearing under mysterious circumstances. Today, we delve into one of the most unsettling and unexplained series of cases, the missing 411. A phenomenon detailing hundreds of disappearances in the U.S. national parks. David Paulides, a former police officer and researcher, has authored several books on these disappearances, chronicling strange and unexplained events in the wild. The term missing 411 refers to a list of over 400 cases of people who vanished without a trace, often in national parks where large search parties, dogs, and helicopters fail to find any sign of the missing person. Some of these cases raise serious questions about the involvement of foul play, while others seem to point to the supernatural. Dennis Lloyd Martin, the vanishing boy. Our first case takes us to the Smoky Mountains, where on June 14, 1969, Dennis Lloyd Martin, a 6-year-old boy, went missing. The Martin family had been hiking in the Smoky Mountain National Park, enjoying the beautiful Appalachian landscape. The family had set out on a trail near Spence Field, a remote area surrounded by dense forest and tall grass. While the adults rested, Dennis and some other children began to play in the nearby field. What started as a fun game of hide and seek would soon turn into a nightmare. Dennis was only about 50 feet from his father when he disappeared. Despite the initial search, which included hundreds of volunteers, search dogs, and even the FBI, no trace of the boy was found. One of the strangest aspects of this case was the testimony of Harold Key, a man who had been in the area and heard a strange scream. Later, he reported seeing a man carrying something, possibly a child, on his shoulder. When authorities interviewed Harold, they failed to make the connection between his sighting and Dennis's disappearance. Strangely, the FBI and National Park Service dismissed the possibility of foul play, even though Dennis's father was adamant that someone had abducted his son. After an extensive search, the case went cold, and much of the information related to the disappearance was withheld from the public. The involvement of the Green Berets and the military only added to the suspicion that something more sinister was happening in those woods. Trenny Lynn Gibson. A mysterious vanishing. Nearly a decade later, on October 8, 1976, Trenny Lynn Gibson, a 16-year-old girl, vanished under similarly mysterious circumstances in the same park. Trenny was hiking with a group of classmates near Clingman's Dome when she disappeared from the trail. Witnesses last saw her bending over to look at something off the path before she suddenly vanished. Despite an extensive search, including helicopters, search dogs, and volunteers, no trace of Trenny was found. What makes her case even stranger is the fact that search dogs picked up her scent at various locations miles away from where she was last seen, including places in the opposite direction. The FBI, as in the case of Dennis Martin, concluded that there was no foul play involved. However, local theories ranged from kidnapping to paranormal forces at work. One of the most chilling aspects of Trenny's disappearance was the possible involvement of someone she knew. Some of her classmates reported seeing a man tailing the bus on the way to the hiking trail, and others suggested that someone from the group may have lured her off the path. Still, no one has ever been able to explain what happened to her. Theories: Bigfoot, wild men, and the supernatural. While some experts believe that the disappearances could be linked to wild men or Bigfoot, creatures said to inhabit remote wilderness areas, theories abound as to the true cause. The connection between Dennis and Trenny's disappearances, which occurred in the same park and under strikingly similar circumstances, has led some to speculate that both children were taken by something, or someone, living in the wilderness. The involvement of military personnel, including the Green Berets and the FBI, raises further questions. Why were special forces armed and called into these areas? Why were official reports altered or withheld? Many believe that the authorities were aware of something the public wasn't, possibly a dangerous entity lurking in the woods. David Paulides, in his research, has focused on other similar disappearances, which seem to follow a pattern. Some theorists suggest that these cases might involve elements beyond the scope of conventional understanding, possibly hinting at a supernatural or extraterrestrial presence. The Oz effect and the disappearance of Dr. James McGrogan. Another baffling case is that of Dr. James McGrogan, who disappeared on March 14, 2014, while hiking in Colorado's Holy Cross Wilderness. McGrogan, a highly experienced hiker and physician, had been with a group of friends when he vanished without a trace. The search effort involved helicopters, dogs, and numerous volunteers, but no sign of McGrogan was found. What made his case even stranger was the eerie silence that seemed to accompany the search area, an event often referred to as the Oz effect. This phenomenon is described as a strange silence that falls over an area, where wildlife disappears and the air feels unnaturally still. Many have linked this effect to paranormal occurrences or otherworldly forces. Despite his extensive gear, including a GPS and phone, McGrogan's body was found 20 days later, miles from where he was last seen, in a remote and frozen area of the wilderness. Tom Messick, the disappearance of a veteran hunter. In another perplexing case, 82-year-old Tom Messick disappeared on November 15, 2015, while on a hunting trip in New York's Adirondack Mountains. Despite being an experienced outdoorsman, Messick vanished without a trace, leaving behind no evidence or signs of struggle. The search for him involved over 300 searchers, including FBI agents, but no clues were found. The search area covered miles of rugged terrain, but Messick's body was never discovered. What makes this case particularly odd is the eerie lack of wildlife in the area, a common theme in missing 411 cases. Some witnesses reported hearing strange sounds, but no one could explain them. The FBI's involvement also raised suspicions that foul play was involved, yet no evidence has ever surfaced to explain Messick's disappearance. The unsolved mystery. The disappearances of Dennis Martin, Trenny Lynn Gibson, Dr. James McGrogan, and Tom Messick are just a few examples of the unsettling phenomenon known as Missing 411. Despite extensive search efforts, the true cause of these disappearances remains a mystery. While theories abound, ranging from abductions to paranormal forces, one thing is certain. The woods of America's national parks are home to strange and unexplainable events that continue to baffle authorities and investigators. Whether it's Bigfoot, wild men, or something more sinister, the truth behind these disappearances is still out there. Until then, the families of these missing individuals are left without answers, and the conspiracies surrounding these cases only grow deeper. For now, all we can do is stay vigilant and continue to question what really happened in the mysterious forests and mountains of the United States. Still craving more? The truth behind these disappearances might just be the tip of the iceberg. Don't miss our next video, Behind the Mask, the chilling rise of a criminal mastermind, where we dive into the twisted mind of one of the most dangerous criminals ever. Hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the game. Your next obsession is just one click away.